Is Tuesday, September 17th, 2024. Am I echoing?
Echo, there's an echo.
Yeah, I don't know why that's echoing. Hold on one second, let me ask
Hold,
Jeff.
please, 1 second. Technical issue.
Can you just say something?
Yeah, how's that sound? Thanks so much. We'll try this again. Good morning. It is Tuesday, September 17th, 2024. This is a special meeting of the Darien Board of Education Policy Committee. Our next meeting is scheduled for October 15th. We have a number of policies on our agenda this morning, and I'll turn it right over to Dr. Adley to get us started.
Good morning, everyone. The first item on the agenda is the review of the meeting schedule. This was spoken to at the general board meeting for the cadence of the meetings. They are listed for you, and it's Marge and our recommendation that honestly this group continues to meet monthly. Just to there's always something on the table. It takes us 2 readings to do most stuff anyway. We're doing well with the audit, and I just want to sort of keep on top of it, to be honest with you. That would be our recommendation.
Makes sense to me. Anyone have any comments or questions on that? Board members? John?
I mean, we can always cancel if we don't have any work to do, so I'd like keeping the schedule as well.
Agreed.
Yep.
Dave? You good?
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, excellent.
The list of the dates are there as you see them, so I'm assuming that unless something comes up otherwise, we'll try and follow that schedule.
Great. Thank you. Where does that take us? Policy audit?
I had just included that so you could decide whether we wanted to meet.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Understood. Okay, so we're good there. That's just an update. Appreciate that. And move on to the communications policy.
So this, after the work of the communications committee, this did go to the full board at the May 28th meeting, and it was to be passed down to this committee to do the work. And really, the work was around the guiding principles that are delineated there. Facilitates open communications, defines responsibilities and expectations for communicating, promote two-way communication between all stakeholders, solicits and receives community input, strives for transparency, and creates and maintains a partnership with families and the broader community. Those were the tenets of a policy that the communication committee took to the board, and those were the sort of guardrails, the guidelines around the nature of a communications policy to develop. So the charge came down to this committee.
Great. So ideally, we would make sure that this committee feels good about what we're giving as direction to Shipman and Goodwin, and we would ask Shipman and Goodwin to provide a draft for us to review for our next meeting. Is that how we do this? So with that, does anyone have any comments or questions about what is listed here and how we intend to proceed?
I don't necessarily have any questions about, I think I agree with all these bullet points. I just want to, going forward, I think we're going to have to talk about, how broad we leave the policy in terms of what is operational and for the administration to take care of and what is the board's responsibility, because I think there's some gray area a little bit in some of these. So, I think I anticipate that being a conversation in the future of how we delineate that within a policy.
I think it's also useful to say that the committee looked at many policies, and they were different in nature. And these were also things that came out of the feedback from the community.
Right.
So we sort of tried to connect those concepts.
Right. Yes, I agree. And Sarah, I agree with your point. I think there will be additional discussion as we work through this to determine how detailed or broad we're going to go. The one point I wanted to make was we had some discussion about the idea of strives for transparency. Just to clarify, I think the intent there was to say that our communications make sure that the workings and what's going on in the district are transparent. It's not that the communications are transparent, it's just a nuance there. So to make sure that we give the correct direction there, unless anyone disagrees with what I've just said. John, did you have a comment?
No, I guess broadly I agree with what you guys have said so far. You know, I think one thing we've heard over the years is that there's not a lot of two-way communication, and, you know, we talked about the possibility of doing town halls and things like that, so hopefully we can weave that into this policy.
Okay. And hopefully, and this is going to get complicated probably as we work through this, because at the same time, the communications committee will be working through the communications plan, which we'll start reviewing at our next meeting. So some of those more operational or tactical, I'm not sure what the right word is, pieces will probably be coming in there, and we'll have to work our way through this.
So what you're saying is we should watch communications meetings.
Stay tuned. Anybody on the phone or on Zoom have a comment? Dave or Jill?
I'm good, thank you.
All good.
Okay, great. Okay, so then that means we are requesting work from Shipman and Goodwin to draft a policy here, and that is appropriate because we have been charged by the full board to do this work. Okay, thank you. All right, a good old friend, policy 9160.
Okay, 9160 now reflects Shipman and Goodwin's most current model policy, and it does not speak to choosing a replacement based on the same political party. At Mr. Brown's suggestion, we did also remove the reference to the town committees because that just sort of muddies the clarity of the policy. Everything else remains the same from the last version.
All righty. So just as a refresher, when we had discussed this last at a full board meeting, it was decided that we would wait and get further direction from Shipman and Goodwin on this before taking a vote on it. So it came back to committee awaiting that. So this is the latest recommendation from the attorneys. Any comments?
Just those that are listening, perhaps, you know, the line is in number 4, the chairperson of the board may consult with any applicable town committee in seeking to identify potential candidates for such vacancies. That remains, right? So, you know, it covers, I think, some of the concerns that we discussed earlier. And, you know, watching how the Board of Finance is working with the various town committees also, it just, you know, goes beyond our policy, if you will. You know, I think it's consistent with how another elected board is filling vacancies from both parties. So.
Great.
And it's not mentioned in here, but there is still the minority rule that, you know,
That we must still
there must still
adhere to.
adhere to.
Yeah, minority representation still must be maintained.
Hi, so, Marge, you mentioned that there was some language taken out that I wanted taken out. That language I wanted taken out was somehow appeared in a number of different drafting rounds. I was happy with this as it was originally drafted. I think the language you're referring to that I wanted taken out is we had started going down a rabbit hole of talking about, well, what if there's an affiliated party, would we REIT, wouldn't get, you know, things like that. So it's not so much I wanted a reference taken out. And the other question I have is, you know, I might be confident with any applicable, but looking at the first sentence here that strikes, talking about replacing somebody from the same political party, I don't recall a conversation that we were going to use a board vacancy as an opportunity to change political parties from one party to the next and seeking to fill a candidate. So I don't understand where that change came from the attorneys. And, you know, very simply, I would just say that we should have left this thing the way it was originally drafted, not be changing it, and make things much simpler. So I'm okay, I think, with the second half of this. It's just the first, I don't know where that strikeout came from.
So Dave, you're talking about point number 4, that first sentence that's striked out, the Board of Ed shall fill such vacancy with an individual from the same political party as the member who previously filled such position?
That's correct.
Okay.
So that was removed to cover the situation in case it's an unaffiliated member of the board who resigns. That's why it was struck. And the reference to the same political party was removed.
So if an unaffiliated leaves, we replace it with whatever we want?
Whatever you want, as long as you don't violate minority representation.
Got it. So if we have an R leave, we can fill it with a D because whatever we want, or an R, we replace it with a U, whatever we want.
Yep, yes.
Yeah, I think we just should leave this as drafted.
Is striking that first sentence, that's Shipman's recommendation or no?
Yes, because Shipman's language is in paragraph 1. It just says the board can fill a vacancy unless otherwise restricted by charter or special act.
Well, and this is where we've gotten tripped up time and again, right?
Yeah.
Because the whole point is what would happen if there were a you, because that person is not a member of a political party. So we've had, to my way of thinking, we've needed to adjust that language throughout this whole exercise. So yes, I'm good with striking the first sentence of number 4. I don't see how it works without it. I think we've talked about it could be unlikely to have a you elected to the board, but
We have one now.
we have, oh, I guess we do.
Yep. So
Any comments from you, John?
I'm okay with the changes.
Okay. Sarah?
I'm fine with striking it.
Okay, so you're okay with
Yes.
as this stands?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so as am I, and recognizing that Dave is not on board with it, we can take it forward as such.
Yep.
This is Jill. I'm just asking that when this goes to the board, that the corresponding statutory language be included so we can see the full breadth of what is required of the board, both at the state level and at the local level.
Sure.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay. So that takes us to 9320.
So after bringing forward the concerns of some board members about putting an end time on meetings, Jessica, and she actually wrote this paragraph about why she thought it was a good idea to take it out. There are some boards who have real problems with, meetings running till 2, 3 in the morning. They also don't always have public comment at the end of the meeting, which we wanted to preserve. And so her best advice is to remove that language that puts an end time. At a regular meeting, you can just move to end the meeting and not do an agenda item. You can't do that at a special meeting, so you do still have some flexibility.
Okay. So that was going to be my question. You can amend the agenda and not
At a regular meeting.
at a regular meeting, not start an agenda item if it gets past the point of productivity. Okay. Discussion?
I mean, I don't know that I think I'm fine with this. And I think we've been pretty good about trying to keep the meetings to a decent length. But I do think, there are some times when we do need to be longer than we need to, if there's robust discussion or whatever, and I think I'm fine with not having that in there.
John or Dave?
I don't really, I'm fine.
Okay. I'm fine as well. Dave, you good? I'm gonna take that as a yes.
Yeah.
He's still on, right? It's not-
He's still there, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's still up, you see him up there.
Okay.
yes, yes.
All right, so we
Can
will.
you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, thanks. All right. So are you good with where 9320 is? No, we can't hear you. Okay, three of us are good, so we'll
Yeah,
move
we'll
on.
move on.
And Dave, please follow up if there's something you want us to look at on that.
Okay, the remainder of the policies are all due to statutory changes, and so we're just updating the policies appropriately. The non-discrimination statutes, there are new definitions of discrimination and harassment. The policies now include some examples. It includes domestic violence victims as a protected class, and the complaint procedures have been updated appropriately. It was just, the changes were so massive that it was hard to read a red-lined copy. So that's why you got both in that pile.
318 pages.
Yeah, that.
I guess, should we just see if there are questions in general? If anyone has any questions on a specific policy, or do you want to walk through? I have a couple general questions, kind of across all of them. For one thing, there's a lot of he, she, which I think we've been replacing with they. So if we could just do a search on that throughout. And some of them, I'm sure, were the original drafts, so I recognize I'm probably mixing up some of that. When we have a form for a complaint, how does that work? Is that printed out, handwritten?
When there's a violation of any of these policies, the building administrators give the complainant and the respondent a copy of the policy with the forms to fill out.
Okay. And then they fill that out and hand it in,
hand it,
so to
yes.
speak. It's not
And they make the
submitted
decision of whether
digitally.
they want to file a formal complaint.
Okay, thank you. And then,
And then how often does this happen?
Well, the sex discrimination and sexual harassment is really, it's imperative that we make those revisions now, because even though not all complaints rise to that level, it is important for people who feel that they've been harmed to have the appropriate policy and regulations. So we have already an ongoing issue.
Okay.
and then my other question was about the investigator. That's not the impartial hearing officer that we approve each year. That's someone
That's just
different.
a statutory
Right.
defined person.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where does an investigator come from, or is it specific to a situation?
So the good news is that with the revisions in Title IX, we no longer have to hire outside investigators, which we did for several Title IX violations last year. All of our administrators will be trained by Shipman and Goodwin by the second week in October so that they can be an investigator.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Anyone else have anything? One last nit. Policy 5200, is the term being used homeless?
Yeah.
It is,
Yeah,
okay.
statutorily, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Right, and not that this is a big deal, but Rich Rudel is pleased to assume the role of records custodian.
Rich Rudel, the
He's-
catch-all office?
He's done it in other districts. It's just most usually in the business office.
Okay. Okay. I didn't have anything else on all of these.
No, it's all statutory, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
John, you okay? Try Dave. Anything?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, great. So I think we're good to move all those forward.
So we want to move them all to the board?
Yes, sir. That's what we've got, huh?
Yep.
That's it.
So we're all set. I will move to public comment.
Good morning. If any person would like to participate in public comment, please come up to the podium and wait for the chair to recognize you. Please state your name and address for the record, and you will have up to 3 minutes to comment. Please note the time with the chair. If anyone online would like to participate in public comment, please use the raise hand icon. Please state your name and address for the record, and you will have up to 3 minutes to comment. There are no raised hands.
Great. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Sarah, seconded by John. All in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you.